Yes, ma'am.
But Kennedy had talked to the Soviets about going jointly. Was that a peaceful thing together, or what prompted him? What did he know, or what was behind his question? Because he took a lot of flack.
Yeah, Kennedy did want to do an international, from the beginning, space program. And, you know, when he was assassinated, Khrushchev wept and stated, now we will not have world peace. Because Kennedy, and actually Bobby Kennedy said this, Bobby Kennedy Jr., who I've met, said this recently on a CNN interview, is that his intent was, in his second term, to get completely out of Vietnam, to do a cooperative, and to make total peace with the Soviet Union. Now, of course, there goes $1 trillion in military industrial intelligence spending. And they were not happy about that. He was also going to disclose this UFO issue. And I think there were a number of reasons why, you know, he was just not willing to succumb to their view of how the world needed to progress with endless conflict. And that's why there was no second term of Jack Kennedy, in my opinion. Now, from what I know, and this is also somewhat corroborated, although in a bit of a titillating way, with the document I got from the National Security Agency contact I have. That's the Marilyn Monroe document. And in the Marilyn Monroe document, it's a top secret document that was handed off to me, never declassified, authenticated by a man who used to be General Odom, O-D-O-M's right-hand guy, who was National Security Agency head for years. And in this document, it was a wiretap summary that the CIA wiretapping a bunch of people, but mainly Marilyn Monroe, who, as you know, had an affair with Jack Kennedy and also with Bobby Kennedy. And they knew it was becoming too public, and so in 1962, or whenever it was, they cut that off. And she was furious, so she was calling up Bobby Kennedy, the Attorney General, and an art dealer named Rothberg in New York, and other people, saying that she was going to hold a news conference to tell Jack Kennedy, to tell the world what Jack Kennedy had told her about, quote, objects from outer space that were recovered in New Mexico in the 40s, clear reference to Roswell, as well as some other matters. That wiretap summary is dated the day before they found her dead. Now, when I brought this up to, there was a famous actor and singer named Burl Ives, who used to be on our executive committee, and he was friends with Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor. And Burl Ives, when I showed this document to him, he says, he just held his head. He says, we all know Marilyn was killed, and that it wasn't an overdose. We didn't know why. And he was a 33rd degree Mason. Burl Ives was. He has a room in this building next door, the big 33rd degree Masonic temple next door. And I said, yeah, well, Marilyn didn't know what kind of big toes and big gorillas she was stepping on. But, of course, the whole world would have covered that press conference. It would have been sensational. And so Marilyn Monroe almost certainly was assassinated because she was going way too far off the reservation. And this document has the proper project code names and code numbers for that era. Project Moondust, Project 46, some of these key project code names and code numbers for the early 60s. I have that document. It's in my first book. It's there for anyone to read. It's explosive, and it's dispositive, actually. But unfortunately for Marilyn Monroe, you know, she didn't realize that this was non-trivial. This is not a trivial thing to hold a press conference, a person of her stardom in that era. I mean, she was huge, talking about these specific issues, because she had learned that apparently in pillow talk with Jack Kennedy. And so it cost her life in order to keep that quiet. Yes, sir.